When your old dog suddenly starts following you from room to room, do you actually know why they're doing it? Yes, it's sweet. You've probably laughed about it, told your partner, "Look at him, he won't leave my side." But behind that little shadow at your ankles, there's something happening inside your dog's mind that almost no owner recognizes until it's too late to appreciate it properly. Let's start with what that new clinginess is really telling you. Most owners assume it's just old age. Dogs get needier, they figure. Nothing to worry about. But researchers studying senior dogs have been quietly mapping something very different. Your old dog isn't just being clingy. They're doing something specific, something deliberate, something that only kicks in when a dog hits a certain stage of their life. And it's the reason they're choosing you out of every other person in the house. And there's one more thing. If your senior dog used to follow your partner or your kids, and they've recently shifted to following only you, stay with me until the end. Because that shift means something most veterinarians won't tell you unless you ask. And almost every owner I've spoken to wishes they'd understood it sooner. 1. It's not about age. It's about the room getting dim. Let's start with what's actually happening in your dog's head. Somewhere around their 9th or 10th birthday, most dogs begin a process so slow that most owners don't notice it starting. Clumps of a protein called beta amyloid, the same protein involved in human Alzheimer's, begin forming between the neurons in your dog's brain. They don't erase memories. They do something stranger. They slow the signals that travel from one part of the brain to another. The pathways that tell your dog this doorway leads to the kitchen. This rug means home. This smell means safety. They're all still there. They just take a beat longer to fire. And when they fire a little less confidently than they used to. I want you to try something. Picture your own hallway at dusk. That moment right before you turn the lights on, when everything is still recognizable, but softer at the edges. Every doorway is a little less certain. Every corner has a little more shadow. You can still walk through it, but you walk slower. You pay more attention. That's not failing eyesight. That's not confusion. That's just a room that's dimmer than it was at noon. Your old dog is walking through that hallway now, and the light isn't coming back. By age 11 or 12, according to research from NC State's Olby lab, about 28% of dogs show at least one sign of this cognitive shift. By 15 or 16, it climbs to 68%. More than half of older dogs are walking through that dimming hallway, and almost none of their owners know it. 2. Why they pick one person, not everyone. Here's where it gets strange. You'd think that if your dog's world is getting dimmer, they'd get clingy with everyone, more affectionate across the board. That's not what happens. A 2024 paper out of NC State looked at the behavior of 804 senior dogs in the last quarter of their expected lifespan. What the researchers found stopped them cold. Dogs with moderate cognitive decline weren't attaching to the whole family. They were attaching to one person, more specifically, to one sensory pattern, one voice, one gait, one scent signature, one silhouette. Their brain had been building a model of for years. One of the dogs in the study was a 13-year-old golden retriever named Banjo. He lived with a family of 4. He'd grown up tumbling between all of them, the parents, 2 kids who were now in college. But in the last year of his life, something shifted. He stopped following the kids when they came home for Thanksgiving. He stopped waiting at the door for the husband. He started, in the researcher's notes, orienting exclusively to the wife, even when she wasn't in the room. She would be on the 2nd floor, and Banjo, who could barely climb stairs anymore, would find his way up. The researchers marked him down as a single-person attachment shift. It's the same pattern they saw in hundreds of the 804 dogs. Same behavior, different families, different breeds, same quiet decision. As the rest of the world got a little harder to hold on to, one person's pattern didn't move. When a senior dog picks one person at the end, they're not picking the person they love most. They're picking the person their brain has the clearest, least degradable map of. And most of the time, almost unbearably, those turn out to be the same person. And hey, if any of this is landing the way I think it is, tap the like. It helps YouTube show this video to other people who are quietly going through the same thing tonight. That's all we're trying to do here. 3. You are the part of the world that hasn't gone dim. I want you to understand what's actually happening when your old dog follows you into the kitchen for the 4th time in an hour. They're not being needy. They're not being anxious. They are standing inside a house that is slowly becoming unfamiliar to them, and they are looking for the one thing in it that still makes complete sense. You. The walls shift a little. The rugs feel wrong in places. The smell of the back hallway is almost right, but not quite. But your voice hasn't changed. Your footsteps sound the way they've always sounded. The shape of you in a doorway is the same shape it was when they were 3 years old, chasing a tennis ball across this same floor. So they come find you, not because they're confused, because you're the part of the world that hasn't gone dim yet. 4. The behaviors you've been reading wrong. Now let's talk about what this looks like in daily life, because there are 4 specific behaviors that almost every senior dog starts doing around this stage, and most owners misread every single one of them. When your old dog stands in a doorway and just stops, you probably think they forgot where they were going. They didn't. They're waiting for you to move first so they can follow your pattern through the room. When they get up from their bed, the second you stand up, even if they were fast asleep, that's not alertness. That's your movement being the most reliable signal in their environment. When they stare at you for no reason, longer than before, quieter than before, that's not confusion. That's them using you to re-anchor their sense of where they are. And when they lie down at your feet instead of on their own bed, a bed they used to love, that's not preference. That's your silhouette being the safest landmark in the room. Every one of those behaviors is the same message, translated into different small acts. I know where I am when I can see you. 5. What the science says you can actually do. Here's what the research says can actually change things, starting tonight. Don't rearrange the furniture. A senior dog with early cognitive decline navigates by memory of the room, not by sight. A moved coffee table can genuinely disorient them for days. Leave a dim light on in the hallway overnight. A 2025 survey of US veterinarians found that low nighttime lighting reduces the midnight pacing, what vets call sundowning, in about 2/3 of affected dogs. Talk to them more than you think you need to. The parts of a dog's brain that process your voice hold up longer than the parts that process your face. They can hear you even when they can't quite see you anymore. And this one, if you've noticed 2 or more of those new clingy behaviors in the last few months, write them down. Bring that list to your vet. Early intervention with omega-3s, antioxidants, and in some cases a medication called selegiline has been shown to slow cognitive decline by months, sometimes years. Months matter. When you're counting in dog years, every month is a lifetime. And son, why they pick you specifically? I want to come back to something, because I know some of you are still wondering why your old dog chose you, and not your partner, or your son, or the person who actually feeds them every day. The answer surprised the researchers too. It isn't the person who feeds them. It isn't the person who walks them. It isn't even necessarily the person who's been in the house the longest. It's the person whose rhythms the dog's brain has the most complete recording of. The person whose footsteps it has mapped on the stairs for 10 years. The person whose voice it has heard say its name in 1,000 different rooms. The person whose silhouette it has watched from 1,000 different beds. Your old dog isn't choosing based on affection. They're choosing based on data, a decade of tiny unconscious recordings that their aging brain now clings to like a lighthouse in fog. And the reason it often turns out to be the person who loves them most is that that's usually the person who was around for all those quiet, unremarkable, 1,000 different moments to begin with. The love didn't choose. The love just happened to be in all the places the recording was taken. 7. What it means when they stop following. Earlier, I told you to stay with me until the end, because there's one more shift most owners aren't warned about. Here it is. When a senior dog who has been following you everywhere suddenly stops, when they start lying in a quiet corner by themselves, away from the family, away from you, most owners take it personally. They think the dog doesn't recognize them anymore. They think the love faded. That's almost never what's happening. At the very end of a dog's life, there's an instinct older than domestication, older than breeds, older than the 10,000 years dogs and humans have walked beside each other. It's the same instinct every wild canine has, to hide when the body starts to fail. A senior dog who suddenly wants to be alone isn't rejecting you. They're carrying something heavy, and the oldest part of their brain is telling them to carry it somewhere private. The love didn't leave. The love is the reason they're hiding, because in some deep, beta-amyloid-flooded corner of their mind, they still remember that you're the one they would do anything to protect. Even from this, if your old dog has started to withdraw, don't take it back. Don't force them out of the corner. Sit near them instead. Let them lead. The love is still in the room. They're just carrying something heavier than you can see. I want you to go back to the beginning of this video, to the moment I described. An old dog following one person around a house they've lived in their entire life. Now you know. It wasn't clinginess. It wasn't a new personality. It wasn't your dog being needy in their old age. It was a small, aging mind, standing in a world that was slowly getting dimmer, and choosing the one landmark that hadn't moved. Your old dog didn't pick a person. They picked the part of the world that still felt like home. And tonight, when they stand at the edge of the kitchen and look at you a beat too long before they come in, you'll know exactly what they're doing. They're checking that you're still there. You always were.